and let us all do we can to build a better future.
We return to electoral politics, and we return to the Democratic Party. I know. Why are we talking about the Democratic Party? Because RFK Jr., I'm still on the list to have him on the show. So we will see if RFK Jr. will come on to Hardlands Media. We will see. I am not going to make any promises. But we will be covering the DNC convention in 2024. And if you are familiar with how the DNC plays its games, especially from the 2016 primary and the 2020 primary, you notice that there's a click, copy, paste version of what is happening now in 2024. The DNC is, oh my goodness, shock of all shocks, committing election fraud and playing really crazy games in the primary. And to his credit, I will give him this. RFK Jr., you're calling him out, unlike Bernie Sanders, the cuck. Welcome to the party. You should have been addressing this much sooner, but better late than never, I suppose. But look, again, if you are an RFK Jr. supporter, I will make it very clear. Very clear. I wish you all the best in that campaign. Take notes. Document everything, because you're going to be an uphill fight. The DNC has indicated that it's a private institution. They have set it out to the public. This isn't anything new. They're a private institution, and they get to pick who they want as a nominee, and they can, let's say in a shocking scenario, RFK Jr. is doing well, and hey, he's got a lot of support. And he's winning, and he's got all the delegates. He's winning in all the states. The Democratic Party can just yank that rug underneath, say, we don't like the results. Biden's our guy. They could do that. And again, controversial statement in a 3, a 2, a 1. The Republican primary is more Democratic than the Democratic primary because the Democratic Party has super delegates, but also the DNC can also dictate who they want as their nominee. If you participate in the Democratic primary, you're just participating. Your vote really doesn't matter. You're just there. If you vote for the establishment person, good little dog. That's it. So what am I talking about? Well, recently, RFK Jr. just posted this in regards towards how the Democratic Party is playing its game. It's better than what Bernie Sanders did. That's what I want to say. It's better. We got to talk about it, and I'm curious to see just how far he's willing to go. We shall see.
In a real democracy, every citizen has the same prized possession, their vote. That vote gives you a say in whether...
Hold on. I also want to acknowledge a chat. Miguel H., congratulations. I think I'm going to nominate you as the supreme winner for today's live stream chat. Let's face it, we don't have a horse in this race, and we never had. Not going to argue with you. Miguel H., one of our moderators, keep on doing the great work of keeping the peace in the live stream chat.
You can earn a good living, whether your kids have access to decent schools, whether they'll be sent to war, and whether they'll get health care. When democracy crumbles, citizens become more like serfs. They labor under laws that are made by oligarchs and elites. They work 2 jobs for barely livable pay. They get taxed to fund Wall Street and wars and bank bailouts. Your vote is your power. And right now, the Democratic Party elites are trying to take it away from you.
They already have. They already have, RFK. Again, I like this video. I truly do. Actually, I do. It's just, man, glad to have you in. But hey, this party's been going on for quite some time there, my lovelies.
At the order of President Biden, the DNC is punishing states where President Biden lost in 2020. He came in 4th, for example, in Iowa and finished last in New Hampshire. So the DNC is trying to move those states out of their historic first slots and start instead with South Carolina, where President Biden finally won his first victory.
What are you going to do about RFK Jr.?
I'm very, very proud of the president, and we're going to get it done for him and Kamala Harris in this primary and again in the general election.
Those changes violate state laws, so the legislatures can't comply with the plan. But do you know who the real losers are? You are.
Hold on. Yeah, hey, listen, I already know I'm a loser, RFK. Come on. Don't need to pour salt in the wound already, man. But listen here. We already know that things are tough. And 2 jobs, Americans are working 3. Dare I say it now, it's probably working 4 jobs now just to make ends meet. But we talked about this and what the Democrats were doing to the primaries, especially in Iowa and New Hampshire. Now, to be clear here, Biden isn't on those ballots, right? And as we have covered on this show, as we have said on the show, and as everyone else in independent media, that in the scenario, most likely scenario, if RFK Jr. and let's say maybe in this situation too, or Marianne Williamson were to win the Iowa and New Hampshire primaries, and Biden, since he won't be on it, the delegates in New Hampshire and Iowa will not be acknowledged by the Democratic Party, and New Hampshire and Iowa will not count because Biden and the Democrats have decided to make South Carolina the first one to make it more inclusive. Now we know why the Bernie Sanders movement and Bernie Sanders himself, he walked his way to New Hampshire to promote his good friend Joe Biden, who's been on the wrong side of history. Joe Biden, who's against busing and desegregation. Joe Biden, who worked with Republican segregationists. Joe Biden, who said he'd gladly prostitute himself to corporations. Joe Biden, who was against a woman's right to choose. That's right. He was against Roe v. Wade. Does that trigger you liberals, SJWs? Well, it should, because you guys are suckers and cucks. Joe Biden, who voted for the war in Iraq. Joe Biden, who helped write the crime bill. The reason why we have such a wonderful prison industrial complex, Bernie Sanders, is because of your good friend, Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who sided with credit card corporations to make student debt what it is. Need I go on?
You're going to lose your right to vote in a free and fair election. Based upon the DNC's plan, if you live in the state of New Hampshire or Iowa, your vote just won't count. And Georgia, too, by the way. In that state, they want to kick anyone off the ballot if they campaigned in New Hampshire. These crooked measures will disenfranchise millions of citizens. These people will be robbed of their votes just because the elites say so. And it's not only voters in a handful of states that the DNC is trying to silence. It's every voter in every state. So how do they plan to do that? Oh, there's another rule that the committee is drafting behind closed doors, and it's similar to a trick that they used to kick Bernie Sanders.
Hey, Bernie. This is what it looks like. Again, I'm not going to participate in Democratic primary, but I have to give credit to RFK Jr. I haven't seen any other Democrat who is progressive talk like this, okay? Now, I think that the whole game is stacked against RFK Jr., but I do wish him and his campaign all the best, truly. I do. The reason why is because, again, unlike this cuck here that you see Bernie Sanders, RFK Jr. is saying what we have been saying since 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and now all up here in 2023, that the DNC rigs the game. The DNC rigs the game. I saw someone in my live stream chat just type in, hey, 2024 seems to be a bust. Who are you looking forward for in 2028? Because now I have to wonder that too. Who's going to be throwing their hat in the race in 2028? I'm going to make a prediction. Donald Trump Jr. is going to be running in 2028 for the Republican primary. Just throwing it out there. Who knows? I might be proven right. You can buy me a slice of pizza. But anyways, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders would never talk like this. Hell, even Cenk Uygur. Cenk Uygur wouldn't talk like this. He even said, and remember, I played some snippets of TYT's documentary. Cenk Uygur said recently that there was no election fraud that took place in California during the 2016 primary, even though they did a documentary showing that they did, that there was.
Out in 2016. They're flooding the convention with party operatives with opaque names like pleos and automatic delegates, whose job is to drown out the popular vote. Once the pleos and automatic delegates arrive at the Chicago convention next summer.
And yes, we will be covering the convention in Chicago. So if you want to help out Hardlands Media, all of our links are in the description box below. Please consider being a patron supporter. You will help us out. I am assembling a team. We will be doing live stream events. We will be trying to get interviews. We'll see if we can get inside. We have press passes, so we're good on that here in the city of Chicago. But we will be covering it, and We'll see what happens. Here's hoping that's a rock and roll kind of event. Not too crazy like the one in the 1968, but something interesting, something interesting.
The vote tallies all change, and the people's choice can be overturned in an instant. I could win 2/3 of the popular vote and still be denied the nomination. That's not democracy. That's theater. When I was growing up, this country was the democratic light of the world.
Well, in theory, yes, but we also did some shenanigans too. We're going to rewind that. Democratic light of the world. I hear you. And also, again, RFK Jr. brought up something that Nico House has said, Jimmy Dore, myself, everyone. Okay. You've all said, like, let's say again, RFK Jr. were to get 2/3 of the vote. DNC can legally, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't pronounce that word. Legally say, now we don't accept the results.
The nomination. That's not democracy. That's theater. When I was growing up, this country was the democratic light of the world. We were the exemplar. We were the template for all the other nations on earth. This is what democracy looked like. We did it better than anybody. Based upon our example, dozens upon dozens of new democracies took root in every corner of the earth. But when we deny citizens their right to vote, and when we rig the process in favor of insiders, then the flames of democracy flickers. And someday soon it will go out.
It's already gone. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thanks to Citizens United and the McCutcheon's decision, where money is speech and corporations are people. Thank you, Supreme Court. Anybody can buy a politician. That's right. The same people who own the Democratic Party, who donate to the Democratic Party, also own the Republican Party. This also means they got that Wall Street, big banks, corporations, the top 1%, hedge fund managers, they have the final say. You, the voter, don't have a final say. You don't have a seat at the table. 99.99999% of the time, your favorite politician in the U.S. Senate and House, either Democrat or Republican, is on the phone calling to donors, asking for more money so they can get ready to run their campaign, so they can get reelected and write legislation that will benefit their said donor. So they go right back to that phone calling your donors for more money. Rinse, cycle, repeat. And also do insider trading. We don't have a democracy, and we're not a democracy. We're a republic. We are a republic. Well, we're not even that, babies. We are an oligarchy. I rest my case. The light, whoosh, is already gone.
The good news is these rules don't take effect until the DNC votes on them on September 14th. So let's use our power while we still have it. It's time to demand a fair primary process.
That's not going to happen. Hey, look, again, I hope we can get RFK Jr. on the show. A fair primary process, but that ain't going to happen.
Let's use our power while we still have it. It's time to demand a fair primary process where every vote counts equally, and the candidate who gets the most votes wins the nomination. That's the democracy we learned about in school. That's the democracy that people around the world yearn for. That's the democracy that we now have to fight to protect. Whomever you plan to vote for next year, now is the time to tell the DNC that you want democracy back in the Democratic Party. How do you...
Again, I like this video. I do, because it's like, welcome to the party, pal. We've been saying this for years. Number two, Bernie Sanders would never have the nutsack to say this. Bernie would never do this. Bernie wouldn't do it. Cenk Uygur would never say anything like this. Samuel Boy Cedar wouldn't. Kyle, he had to get out of his diapers and ask his mom for permission. I mean, his wife for permission. I mean, I'm sorry. They would have to put together a show to see if they can really, talk about this. Or, do you see AOC say anything like this? No, she wouldn't. Here, let's rewind that again.
That's the democracy that people around the world yearn for. That's the democracy that we now have to fight to protect. Whomever you plan to vote for next year, now is the time to tell the DNC that you want democracy back in the Democratic Party. Add your name to the Demand a Fair Vote petition below, and please use your voice while you still can. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and I appreciate your help.
All right. Oh, welcome to the party, pal. Listen, I know we got a couple RFK Jr. supporters who watch this show. I do wish you all the best. And we do invite RFK Jr. to come onto our show as well to talk about this, because it's, Bernie would never say anything like this. And I am very curious to see how this will all play out in Chicago when it comes to my city in 2024. And we will be covering it because it'll be a major event. We are an independent media network here in the city of Chicago. Hardlands Media is Chicago's fastest growing independent media network. So yes, we will be covering it. And if you want to help us out, please consider being a patron supporter. But all right, RFK. Better late than never, but we have been saying this for years now. I'm not expecting anything to happen. And yes, you could sign a petition, but the DNC can just do this to the petition. That's what they can do. But it's, hey, at least it's farther than what our current crop of quote-unquote progressive Democrats would say or do. And no, I would never see Marianne Williamson doing something like this or any other contender. And we have to really address the problem with our entire democratic process, our political system, and that is it's corrupt, it's spoiled to the core. So when 2024 on election night comes, your choice, it's up to you. I will not sit here and tell you who to vote for. You make your own choice. You make your own decision. But seeing what's being presented before us, it is also understandable why people will opt out and not vote at all, period. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter who sits on the throne. What's going to matter is when we, the people, start stepping up and helping each other out and breaking away from the system. It's easy for us to fall for the mythology, the legends, stories of that hero on the hill that will save us. That's in the storybooks. The real change comes from us. We're the ones that we've been waiting for. And I hope all of you, in your own way, will help fight for that better future. It's always been us. It's always been you. Well, welcome to the party, RFK Jr. Welcome to the party. Looking forward to speaking to you, if that ever does happen. And yes, we will be covering the convention in Chicago in 2024. Stay tuned to Hardlands Media.